I have an article that just came out actually today of comparing what idols in Korea make to what they make while they're in Japan, which is actually very interesting to kind of prove the point that they kind of need to do what they do in Japan. For a male group like JYJ, the trio's total guaranteed revenue is approximately 2 million yen for a performance in Korea. But in Japan, it sums out to 20 million yen. SNSD and Kata, their fees are 40 million yen and 30 million yen respectively at the start of the year. But now both groups now command 50 million yen each. And also you have not just the musicians, but also actors like Lee Byung-hun. He commands 50 million yen and above. They also proved a point here in the article saying that Kata, just for an example, that in Korea where illegal downloading is pretty much rampant right now, it would be hard for them to sell 100,000 copies of an album. But they've managed to do that and more in Japan by selling 500,000 copies, proving that in Japan there could be made more money than their own country. Which we've talked about that before too, because we know how it is in Korea right now with the illegal downloading and with how the money's distributed in Korean entertainment. We've seen everybody have issues with it. A lot of artists. Obviously, we've seen JYJ depart. We've seen Kata do their thing as well. And Korea, we don't even know what number Korea is on the entertainment scale. But Japan being number 2, you head into that sort of market, you have potential to make the little money that you make in Korea and probably like in a year, you can make that in Japan within a month or 2.
Yeah.
So like right then and there, that should give you kind of an insight as to why you're seeing more and more artists develop and move over into Japan to try to make as much money as they can, because in the end it's all about business. It's all about the money in the end.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to be all those years working and feeling like you're getting nothing, which is kind of what I imagine JYJ was going through.
Correct.
It was like they were the biggest group in the world, and yet they weren't getting what they felt they deserved. Right. So also touching in on the whole what is too much, or what is, if there's a lot of influx of K-pop television or K-pop this, K-pop artists, blah, blah, blah. Somebody posted a picture of the schedule for Hey Hey Music Champ, the last one. And it was K-pop this, K-pop that, FT Island this, Kata this, 2 p.m. that, blah, 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 blah. But the way that I see it, and from what I've read, I think that they wouldn't do it if there wasn't a demand for it.
Right.
Okay? On top of that, J-dramas really aren't much to brag about these days. Okay? Mm-hmm. From what I hear, a lot of them have basically been going down the shithole. And if you've been looking at some of these ratings for some of these dramas lately, I mean, a lot of these have just been tanking left and right. People, I know for a fact, because these are people who watch J-dramas devoutly, okay, have making the comment left and right about the fact that the storylines have just gotten so bad, and they aren't the way that they used to be. And so if your J-dramas are sucking, if the variety shows keep putting on the same gimmicks and the same tricks and the same that, what else is there that you can distract yourself with that's going to be something fresh and different? I don't think that they would be accepting it if there weren't people who were genuinely interested. And I know 1,000 and something, people protesting seems like a lot, but there are millions and millions of people
in Japan
that live in Japan. And a lot of them apparently do like it, because if you go look up all these models' blogs and the Meblos and all this stuff, every single one of them just gushes about their favorite K-pop artist and the concert that they went to and all this other stuff. So it can't be a situation of that Japan wants them out. I don't think it's that, because if that were the case, they would have been gone and done with by now.
Long time ago.
So if it is a fad, I think it's just going strong and it's getting bigger. Whether
Right.
it'll go away or not, whatever, it'll go away. But to say that in general, just every Japan wants it out, I don't think that's the case. I don't know.
And especially with a lot of the Japanese, like either musicians or actors or whatever, and like the models, like you said, like all you hear is about them gushing about these Korean artists coming over. You got freaking what's his face from, who was it from? Was it Hiroto from LS9 who wanted to make friends with Honky from FT Island?
Yeah, that's his homie.
Yeah, and then the kid from Focus was trying to be with the guy from Sagud. Like
Uruha downloading, what was it? Uruha, or was it Reika?
I think he downloaded 21 or something, wasn't it?
No, was it Uruha?
I think it was Aruha.
One of them was downloading 21. Yeah,
It was Aruha.
21.
I remember 21 being
Yeah.
mentioned. I
Yeah.
don't remember
and
who it
some other
was.
stuff. It was somebody from the Gazette.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Aoi.
Rookie.
It was
Rookie.
There we go.
There you go. That was him. Mhm.
Yeah.
When you have their fellow artists complimenting these Korean artists and saying themselves, "Wow, this is exciting for Japan. This is something new. You don't see these sort of things," because in the right now, Korea, the K-pop scene is a little bit flashy. It's more flashy than what J-pop is. It brings a lot of color, a lot of distractions from what J-pop kind of is now, where it's a little bit dull. It's kind of the same, the same thing over and over again. And what's wrong with a little bit of competition? And
I have the perfect post to comment to follow that up.
Okay.
Okay, this was basically the post that I agreed with the most because they kind of put everything into perspective. Okay.
Okay.
This person, they said, I understand the seeing Korean acts seemingly breezing or / buying their way into the scene without having to work for it can invoke resentment. Not my opinion. I'm just stating that what the netizens are saying. But everyone has to make a living somehow. As opposed to starting up anti-Hallyu campaign, why not set up a long-term support Japanese talents one instead? Focus and give their attention to homegrown artists. One can still display nationalistic pride and support your own country in a positive manner without turning hostile towards others. Overall sales and TV ratings are still dropping with or without the Hallyu wave. What are these netizens doing about that? Nothing. It's quite frustrating to see, actually, because I miss the golden age of J-dramas and J-pop, be it the quality of programs or the fan base. Now it seems that the public's general attitude towards the Japanese entertainment scene is that of laid-back indifference and stagnation. I hope that the introduction of the Hallyu wave can shake things up a bit, give them a wake-up call and a sense of competition so they can fucking improve.
Exactly. Exactly. And we've noticed that, especially with the artists. We talked about this before with the Johnny's Idols.
Yeah.
The Johnny's Idols have come out of the age of the 70s and 80s as of late and have kind of developed themselves to come towards 2011. Like Katoon. Mm-hmm. Katoon's sound, well, minus, they lost a member too. Their sound
It was
has...
for the best.
Yeah, that too. That's for sure. Has evolved. Their sound, their image has evolved. And I kind of like the direction they're going in.
And I think Japan, I think there's some of these people are selling themselves short because Japan does have a lot of very talented
Yes, they do.
actors and actresses and artists. But just like we've been saying for a long time, a lot of these people are not the ones getting on your music stations and your hey,
Right.
and all this stuff. They are not the ones being promoted. They are the ones that are kind of the little guys. They are
Right.
the ones that will do anything, get paid scraps, and get little to no notoriety, and they will perform at your malls or do things like that, whereas some people feel less deserving artists and will get all the attention, the publicity, and the promotion. And I don't think that it's all these artists, because some of them I think really do deserve it, but I do feel that they could spend a lot more time with some of these other unrecognized,
Unrecognized, yeah.
talent And they should take, I do agree with that person in that sense, that they should take more pride in that and back them up some more and stop wasting all these big dollars and big money on artists that a lot of people from the outside, when they look at it, are like, it's not all that.
Right.
So I don't, because I've found myself in that position a few times where it's like, why the fuck is this so big?
Right.
Like, it is not all that. Like, I can think of A, B, C, D, all these people much better than this, or this artist or that band, or much better than this, that'll probably are only getting paid like not even a third of what this person is getting,
right,
or has the third recognition of what this person is getting,
right.
So I agree with that. They need to be more supportive of their own talent. So the other half is that I do think that that's kind of like my wish for this whole situation, is that it brings out that competitive side in the industry, because we started seeing it a few years ago, right around the time the show started, really, was the change in the music scene, where it was the K-pop, a lot of people more interested in K-pop, and the music in Japan just getting lamer and lamer and lamer, and I'm not talking about, your ballad singers or things like that, because some people, they do what they do really well. Like Jero does what Jero does really well and stuff like that. We're talking about these people that like to look like badasses in videos, and all this makeup and all this, bling bling and all that other shit. And the music is just so weak.
Right.
Because I mean, that made me upset when that whole time where Kodakumi was coming out with all that shit, and I was like, what the fuck is this, man?
Exactly. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say, don't kill me, Ayumi fans, but I have not really been into an Ayumi song since like maybe 2009. Since about 2009, 2008 was the last time I really dug a song.
Exactly. That was the last time I liked an Ayumi Hamasaki song.
The Korean scene trying to get into Japan can only be good for business. Not only that, but fueling creativity within the Japanese artists of like, all right, they're doing this, right? So I got to do that and do it 3 times better than them. That's only going to create more excitement, better music, in my opinion, and give that fire light that fire under the asses of some of these Japanese artists who are just kind of like, well, I'm the Ayumi, I'm the Kodakumi, I'm the AKB, I'm gonna make the #1 single regardless whether this single sucks or not, or whether this album is great or not. It's still gonna be #1 because I have my loyal diehard fans. And that's where things get boring. It needs to be excitement. There needs to be competition to kind of have everybody be 110% on their game to put out the best product that they can possible.
And Japan is such a huge music market. I think people need to, it's just because it's so hard, because you really have to dig when it comes to the Japanese scene, because they have a huge underground scene in so many genres of music, but we see squat of it. We do not see shit. Like, you really have to look in and find out from people, or better yet, know Japanese and know how to cruise the websites to look up some of these bands. Because it's like, you have to remember what I said last week. Avex, I think like Sony, Johnny's, these people pretty much have some of these shows bought. Okay? So when Hey or music station has their shows, if you're an Avex artist, the likelihood of you getting on that show over a smaller independent label is like a gajillion times
correct
more than the smaller man. You know what I mean? Like, you're a given. Okay? Whereas somebody who's smaller, you probably won't be on those types of shows for a long time. And so when people keep seeing these artists from the outside on some of these shows, they're like, these are like the same, it's like the same shit over and over again.
Right.
But it's that music, it isn't, the scene in general, it isn't the same thing over and over again. It's just what they're feeding you on some of these shows.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing over and over again.